wormwood is the same frequency or similar frequency to specific worms. It is an anti-parasitic, but it's only an anti-parasitic for specific worms. So when you take something like Ivor, it is not a frequency for pinworms. Okay. So a lot of people that will take Ivor are not even touching their pinworms.
Yeah.
And then that actually creates more conflict.
It's Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellew.
I'm Adam Payne, and we're here with Kim Rogers.
A killer conversation.
Yeah.
I can't wait till
killer
we dig
conversation.
in. A killer conversation. Kill those bugs in your body.
Well, let's
right?
not worm around the bush here. Let's get into the real nematode of it.
Kim, we're so happy to have you, and I'm still kind of stunned at how rapidly you were able to turn your health around. You kind of stabilized from completely going off the cliff, but you weren't healthy, and you discovered parasites. You took a chance and did a parasite cleanse, and you instantly began to feel better, and it's led you, and you had this incredible medical background, you know, right in the sweet spot of Western medicine, knowing all about this stuff. And as you say, how did they miss it? Well, here's the deal. Adam and I interview so many integrative and functional doctors. And one of our favorite questions is, because we know many of them are board certified MDs long before they got into integrative and functional medicine. You know, the number one answer we get, Kim, and I know you know what it is, how did you go from there to here? And they always say, my wife got sick, my husband got sick, my mom got sick, or my dad got sick, or my child got sick. And they say, I instantly recognized my inability in Western medicine to be able to deal with that. And it's like their life flashes in front of their eyes, and all of a sudden, the journey and the quest, because of their loved one and being in jeopardy, is what brings them on that journey. And you kind of had a similar experience. I'm really...
Yeah. In this case, though, she was the sick one.
Well, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when finding and looking for answers and not finding answers in any of the Western places. And so I'm a little astonished at how quickly you felt relief after doing this first cleanse. And I got to ask the question: was that one cleanse that you did, was it enough to get you where you needed to be, or did you have to do more?
Yeah, I mean, I've done way more, but the fact that my body in those moments didn't have to fight anymore with all of the crap that came out of my body.
Wow.
I just released a ton of things, and that happens to me and quite a few people often. You just do something just a little bit different and it makes them inhospitable in your body, and so they want to leave. You've made it uncomfortable for them. So in that moment, I didn't have to fight with them, right? Like my energy was to push them out, and then my body was like, whoa, wait a second.
Roll up my sleeves and let's get busy rebuilding you.
Totally.
Yep.
Instead of constantly in a kill phase, it was like, I'm finally in a healing phase. Let's go.
So your body was entirely focused on trying to deal with these parasites. You didn't know that. You were just feeling really not well, and in a deep, profound, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally. It sounds like the Kim before the parasite cleanse was not a well person.
Right.
Were you even able to work, or what was your home life like before the cleanse?
I left the workforce in 2016, which was really disappointing because I just finished my second medical degree, my second healthcare degree. And just so you guys know, I was valedictorian in both of my degrees over thousands of people.
So surprised.
It's really important for me to like gain all the knowledge. So it is kind of shocking to think that someone like myself and all these genius minds just put it aside and thought, oh, that's just not even.
It is a paradigm, and I tell our viewers as well. When you listen to someone like a Kim Rogers, other doctors that bring these incredible modalities in, I say, please don't blame your Western medicine doctor. They're trained in a very, very narrow paradigm. They do what they do really well. They don't know what they
Everything.
don't
Yeah, they don't know.
right?
No,
They
they
don't
have
know.
to stay in a box. I mean,
Yeah,
I was
they are
licensed. You
forced
gotta
to
stay
stay in
that
a
box.
system and check every box in the way you
Yeah.
treat a patient.
I let my license go with all of this so I
Wow.
went viral in July of 21 and I let my license go in September of 21 because it's restrictive and I wanted to be able to share my story. And when I started our business, RogersHood, when I started that in December of 21, I really didn't want to have the same box that I had to stay in when I worked in Western medicine. It's really important to be able to share my story without having handcuffs to me, you know.
Okay, so Adam and I, we have a huge 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility here. Our company, we have unique technologies and stuff. But ever since the first day I met Adam, one of the things that I loved, I'm into purity. I'm into sourcing ingredients from the right places. We continue always to do better and better and better here. And I love that about this company and the way we truly have quality products that you can trace back to the right places, the right things, the not putting things in that don't need to be there, leaving those things out and putting the better things in there. Tell me a little bit about how you developed your formulas. And by the way, I'm on about day 20 of my first parasite cleanse in my entire life.
Wow.
Now, so far, other than my only Herxheimer reaction, for those of you that don't know what that means, it's a detoxifying thing. There's a bunch of them you can have. I've actually felt really good, Kim. I have had I've experienced some loose stools, along the way. That's about the only thing so far. And of course, I'm a guy that prophylactically, I prophylact with ivermectin about 5 days a month. I also do about 5 days of Fenben a month. And so I suspect I've been doing a little house cleaning there, but I know that's not the broad house cleaning that you came up with. So tell us about your ingredients and how you decided to start being your own person and putting these products together.
Well, let's go back to when you said 25,000 square foot manufacturing facility. It was music to my ears because we have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility we built ourselves because we make our own products as well. We soak all of our herbs. They're organic. I source them. So everything you were saying is exactly what my company does. And we do it in Jonesboro, Arkansas. When I went viral, I met a gal on TikTok. Her name is Erica. And she voluntarily came to me and said, I'd love to build you a website because at the time we didn't have Linktree and we didn't have all of those things 4 years ago when all of this started, right? It's totally different. I mean, the way it is on social media is completely different than it was when I first started. So she was like, I want to volunteer my time and I want to make you a website. And we started building this website. And I thought, gosh, why aren't we just building our own product? Like I'm talking about all these other companies' products. And the actual tincture that I went viral over, they use a natural ingredient and they use caramel coloring. And I asked them why, and I asked them what their patent natural ingredients were, and they would not disclose it. And I was like, that's it. I'm not disclosing my sales anymore to you. I'm not going to talk about you anymore. If you can't tell me what's inside of a product that I'm taking and that I'm sharing with a community at that time of around 300,000 strong, then I don't want to talk about you anymore. I don't understand why.
Preach it, sister.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't agree with it. It was really an unsettling feeling. Here we're all trying to get away from big pharma. I really just wanted to be able to do it on my own and to control the narrative and to control what products I'm talking about and what's going out there. And it was really important to me because that is my whole stance. Transparency, organic, natural. I'm healing my body. I want to know what's going in my body. And if you as a company can't tell me that, I'm not going to talk about you and I'm not going to take you. So that's what started our company, was that exact thing.
Well, did you ever find out what their secret ingredient was?
No, but I have a better ingredient. So
okay, there you go.
I mean, I'm like, I don't understand when you soak an herb, you don't need to add caramel coloring. You don't. So that to me meant that it was a lab-made product. And I'm trying to not take lab-made products in that sense when you can just have the herb itself.
I mean, you have to disclose we're talking about making anything. You have to disclose the ingredients of what's in the product to the people that you're selling it to here in the United States, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Kim, we have a mutual friend who has been the past president of the Herbal Products Association. Adam has attended that show a number of times, learned some crazy things about all of the
Adulteration.
adulteration and false stuff going on. So tell me a little about how you developed relationships to be able to source herbs, and maybe how you tested those, and do you also actually even work with individuals that are doing wild crafting? I'm curious.
Well, I want
And I
to
know that
answer.
can be tough because of
No,
the lack of
no, it's
supply in
it's
some
very
times.
easy. It's
Okay.
really an easy process that we went through, and it's because I learned how to make tinctures with mushrooms with my husband. And so we just applied that same logic and concept to making these tinctures. We just went and studied all of the herbs and all of the ailments and all of the issues and frequencies, and I just really dove in deep. And when I talk about that, I also want to go back and touch on Ivor and fenbendazole because it's really a big play on why I did what I did when it came to making tinctures for parasite cleansing. It really does have to do with the fact that Ivor and fenbendazole and albendazole and menbendazole, all of the zoles, they're a synthetic driven drug. They're made by big pharma, and we're all trying to not take synthetics that our bodies don't necessarily know how to process.
Right.
And that's
Don't
what
recognize
happens
them.
with those particular drugs, specifically during 2020 when Ivor was like villainized, right?
Right.
So I took Ivor and I figured out in the process that Ivor only helps with around 5 frequencies of worms. And I'm saying frequency because everything we do is a frequency. Everything that we take is a frequency. So all I did was figure out what the frequency of the ailment that I had while I was parasite cleansing was, and I grabbed that herb. That's all that Big Pharma's done. That's all that I did. I realized just like when an opera singer sings and she shatters the glass with her voice or his voice, it's because they got their frequency of their voice to the same as the glass and it shattered it.
Yeah,
So I figured
there's a
out,
resonance there, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kim, would you pull
yes.
back the curtain a little bit? Because I know we're going to get barraged with people going, I want to know what kind of scan Kim Rogers did to figure out the
Sure.
frequency of
Yeah.
her
Of
particular
course.
Yeah,
illness.
that's
So tell us about the
Yes.
tool, because there's some really great tools out there. We know people that use 2 or 3 different ones. There's also so much confusing information out there, and you never really know. We want to know from
It's so-
somebody that has experienced it.
So,
how do you dial into the frequency
Before
of that illness?
the guys up in Edmond who we just had,
Yes.
do they have a frequency
Yeah,
scanner?
he does a bioresonance frequency
Bioresonance
scan,
scanner.
yes.
Okay, so he does that kind of. Was this the same kind of thing that you've done? No.
Yeah,
Nope,
tell me
I
how
just-
how that worked and what you did.
I just know that when you have an ailment like heavy metals and you go and find a solution to what your heavy metals are in your body, cilantro is that solution, right? That's the frequency that'll go in and assist in shattering an ailment for heavy metals. So wormwood is the same frequency or similar frequency to specific worms. It is an anti-parasitic, but it's only an anti-parasitic for specific worms. So when you take something like Ivor, it is not a frequency for pinworms, okay? So a lot of people that will take Ivor are not even touching their pinworms.
Oh yeah,
And then that actually creates more conflict because in my opinion, I think pinworm threadworms are actually a lot harder to rid your body of than any other worm.
Interesting.
It is very difficult to get rid of pinworms.
Okay,
And
so
taking Ivor doesn't get rid of them, right?
So
So you have to bring something else in to help rid your body of them.
Now, do you find, Kim, that we have to do combinations of different things
Yes.
in order to affect these parasites? And
Yes.
I think that's that kind of wisdom, both in natural medicine and in functional medicine, is something that it's beyond the current paradigms, the way people think about a cleanse. So, and you address that in your cleanse, how you put things together.
Yes.
Because I've seen you gifted me a 1 month supply of your products, and I really appreciate that. I have not done the cleanse yet. I'm planning on doing it.
Yeah,
this
he
coming
wanted to
month.
wait and see if I
Yeah.
passed away,
You were
and then
the
it's
guinea
like,
pig.
well, I don't think I'm going to be.
No. It's just I had I just came back from a whole month of conferences and traveling and going back and forth and doing a bunch of things. I wanted to have a month at home when I could do this. So I'm excited to
Okay,
get to
now let
get
me
it away.
recap. So what I was hearing you say is when you reference frequency, I'm assuming that you looked at all the historical data that is available for this malady and this particular botanical or herb, and that's how you're using the language of frequency, right?
Yes.
It's not through using some type of
No.
scanner or anything. Okay, perfect.
Now, I
Just
did
wanted
get
to
a stool
clarify.
test. I did get a stool test, so I did have an
Okay.
idea, but you don't really need to have a stool test. You don't really need to test for parasites to get
Because
parasites.
everybody has them. They just
Everyone
need to
has
start.
parasites or they have a symptom of parasite. And so all I did was I realized that you really do need to have like wormwood and Oregon grapefruit. Both are anti-parasitics. Oregon grapefruit, which is in sustain. So we have 3 tinctures and then we have the binder. That's our standard OG kit. And so when you bring in wormwood with Oregon grapefruit, you're not just tackling the normal parasites that everyone thinks, but you're also tackling small intestinal parasites and microscopic parasites. And so you got to go in and actually do all of this synergistically. If you try and do just Ivor, right? People don't
Yep.
realize you still have to bind. Like
Of
it doesn't,
course.
even when you're getting a massage, you should do a binder, and that's because you're moving your lymphatic system.
Right.
So
Right.
Ivor's going in and moving it, but it's also creating conflict amongst other environmental toxins in your body. And
I
so
could see that.
people don't realize that if you're killing off a physical worm, it is holding 6 to 8 times its weight in spores, heavy metals, other worms, bacteria, and viruses. And when you bring in those ailments, you got to sweep them out somehow. So here I'm doing all of the just Paragard, right? That's what the first tincture I did was. It's just a parasite cleanse. It gave me candida. It made my heavy metals just disrupt my microbiome. And so I realized then, oh, wait, so you have to do a parasite cleanse and you have to do a candida cleanse. And now I have Epstein-Barr virus, which dropped out of a physical worm. And I have heavy metals that are just roaming freely in my body now. So what do I do? And that's when I started to slowly realize that I need to bring in cilantro. I need to support. You can't stay in a killing the whole time. And that's
Right.
what Ivor and that's what these synthetics do. And without people being able to talk about it, and that's the problem. I started to talk about it 4 years ago and I got shut down. I got banned on one of my accounts for talking about how you can do Ivor, you can do all the synthetics, but then 5 days later, you need to roll up and you need to do a parasite cleanse with the herbs to do it like a general Z-Pack, right? You got to do it in a specific way, or you could make yourself sicker, which is what happened to my husband and me on camera because we had them coming out our skin. We weren't binding. I didn't know you had to bring in herbs for heavy metals. Like it really is a series of things you need to do. And the general public doesn't have that kind of money to go to a practitioner and have them walk through all of this with you. So that's really what made me step up and say, I'm going to do a product. It's going to be all encompassing. You're going to be able to start it. It's going to be gentle because a bad cleanse is like a bad trip, but you need to do it.
Yes,
right?
it is. And I had an intuitive feeling as I looked at what you'd put together. First thing is I was like, man, she's covering all the bases here. This comprehensive thing. She understands that leaving one out of the loop can actually really rebound and create big problems for somebody. I love the fact that in the way you prepped these, I had an intuitive feeling. You were like, if I make this strong as rocket fuel, I'm going to run all these people away that need help.
Yeah.
Because we know this. We've been through this. I've been through it in my personal life. I've been into health since I was 16 years old. You recommend some really killer super green food to somebody that's all toxed up and they just immediately start having Herxheimer reactions and they're like, you're trying to make me sick. I'll never take another natural thing in my life. So I
interesting.
think it was very wise what you did. In our next segment, so I'm going to kind of wind up here because you've got another really interesting product called Soak, and I know it's going to rattle some people's cages, but I'm into humic and fulvic acid through a friend of mine for years, so this is going to be fun. You've been listening to Kim Rogers, the Worm Queen. RogersHood.com is the way you can touch base with her and her amazing products. RogersHood.com. We talked about Kim's journey to health. She stabilized her health. She then actually discovered or saw TikTok, realized that maybe I've got parasites, tried some historical herbs for that, immediately began to be better, put her on a track to starting her own company, coming up with this unique, comprehensive approach that's easy and it's gentle. You got to check her out. RogersHood.com. This is Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellew.
I'm Adam Payne, and thanks for joining me.